Welcome home to USA Global TV and Radio, a place where dreams take flight, with authentic storytelling, diverse perspectives and meaningful conversations, where global stories unite and bridges are built beyond all borders. Discover world-class education, entertainment, hope and inspiration. Together, we're building bridges worldwide. Subscribe to our channel, USA Global TV. Download our app, USA Global TV. Be our guest or join our team. Visit usaglobaltv.com. Thanks to our founder and executive producer, Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck. Music score by Yeffy Tang from Cloud Road Music. Voiceover artist Mike Porter. Creative direction by Paul Garcia. USA Global TV and Radio. Your home for global connection. All rights reserved. This video and its contents are the exclusive property of USA Global TV and Radio. Unauthorized use, duplication or redistribution in any form is strictly prohibited.
Recently, someone came up to me and said, "It's amazing how busy you are." And immediately I had these like spiky things coming up inside my brain going, busy? Because to me, busy means a lot of different things, none of which I think are positive, because we hide in the word busy. I can't get together, I'm so busy. I can't take your call, I'm so busy. And these are really off-putting comments, because the question is, are you busy? Are you successful? And most importantly, are you feeling fulfilled? Because if you're not feeling fulfilled, it doesn't matter how many projects you have, how much work you're doing. It matters about how you feel, how you have happiness in your heart, whether you have peace of mind. We're going to explore this topic today on Dr. Jacalyn Unscripted. And joining me is my dear friend, mentor, and colleague, and also our executive producer here at USA Global TV and Radio, Mr. Roland Friedl. Welcome.
Hello, Dr. Jacalyn. Great to see you again.
Thank you. Great to see you also. For people who are just joining for the first time, where in the world are you?
Actually, I'm in Austria at the moment. You know, I'm living full-time in a motorhome. Actually, right now in a caravan because my motorhome is the dealers for some repair stuff. But I'm in Austria because it's nice here, and mid of September, I'm heading down south to Italy.
Very nice. And you've recently been going through some things yourself with an injury that you have. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, okay. Okay. Well, a little boy, almost 62 years old, thought he can jump on his stand-up paddle from the coast. So I put my stand-up paddle on the river. I wanted to be very cool, jump on my paddleboard. It was slippery. The paddleboard slipped away. I fall on the rock, and I broke my right foot. So it's a short accident. So I had to carry a plaster cast for a few weeks. Now I'm without it, but the leg is still, or the foot is still swollen. So I'm fine, but it gave me a lesson. It gave me some lesson, and I guess the learning is cool down, go slowly, and take the time and think about, are you really fulfilled in life? Are you doing the right thing? Are you doing things that not only make you successful and working for you, but also fulfill you? It was a good time.
Absolutely. And I think it brings up the point I was making in the introduction, which is when we are hanging our hat, so to speak, on the fact that we're so busy, we make mistakes. It can affect our health because it's not coming across as a positive experience. You've heard people say, "Oh, I'm so busy. I hope I can get through the day. I hope I can make it through the week." Instead of, "Wow, I get to do this. I love what I'm doing." And it's not that I'm busy, but I am fulfilled. I'm enjoying what's going on at the moment. So before the show began, I told you that my eyes are hurting me because I'm looking at a computer screen for so long. So that's not because I'm busy. That's because I have a lot of things going on that I love that are just dynamic and exciting. And now I'm going to look into getting one of those pairs of glasses with to protect my eyes from the blue light. But the point is, I could tell you I'm tired because I'm so busy, but that's not true. I'm tired because I have eye strain probably. And so I think people will hide behind the word busy, meaning they're not really satisfied or happy with what they're doing.
100%. We are so performance driven, especially in the Western world, in kindergarten, even it starts in kindergarten, then in school, you go to school, you have your homework, then you learn an instrument, then you go to sports, you're always busy, you're really, yeah, trained to be successful, trained to perform, trained to be busy and disciplined. Well, in general, I think it's not bad at all. But the question is, does my business and my discipline have a direction, and do I know where I want to go? Because I think a lot of people they are very busy. Maybe they're also very disciplined, but there's no direction. They are just busy. And yeah, what I learned in my early years, one of my mentors told me, you have to distinguish what is urgent and what is important. Important means what brings you closer to your goal, whatever it is, business goal or private goal, sports goal. And urgent things always come mostly from outside. Yeah. And we always think it's urgent this. And most people ask us, please help me there, do this, do this. And then we are more reacting than really being in our life's driving seat.
Absolutely. And I think that's another thing is, for example, you with your injury came out of nowhere. You weren't expecting it. You have a full plate. Your life is full. You enjoy it. And now all of a sudden you had to deal with this injury. And so you dealt with it in a phenomenal way. You looked at it as an opportunity to work on your new business, an opportunity to write new books. But if you were just in the, oh, I'm so busy and now I have this problem with my leg and blah, 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 it's not helping. It's not a great mindset if you think about, are you actually moving forward?
Yeah, yeah. I think, moving forward, what does moving forward mean? Moving forward for me always means I come closer to my goals I set for this week, for this month, for this year, or maybe I have a 2-year, 5-year, 10-year plan for my business or whatever. For me, moving forward means coming closer to my goal, to my target. And of course, there are obstacles in the way, and sometimes we miss the road and we go in the wrong direction as long as we go back. But for me, moving forward means, yeah, moving forward, coming closer to my step. Actually, there's a song by an Austrian musician. He said, 2 steps forward, 1 step back. So that's life. As long as 2 steps forward and only 1 back, it's okay, because that's life. But I think it's also important that we know exactly what we want in life. And I think when we know exactly what we want in life, then we have a goal, then we have a target, and then we do step by step, sometimes faster, sometimes with an injury a little bit slower, but you move towards your goal. And I think that's what I mean in the beginning is, when you don't have a direction where you go, business and discipline is worthless. It keeps you hustle, and stresses you, but it brings you nowhere. And most people are on Sunday at the same point as they started Monday, because they got in this direction, and this direction, and at the end of the week they are on the same point instead of moving in one direction. Try this. That's most people are really struggling with finding a direction, because we actually, I think it started in school education. We always told, don't do this, you're bad here, and we never learn what we really want to do. And most people struggle. They can tell you what they don't want, but most people can't tell you what they want. So if you don't know what you want, how can you find out your goal or your purpose in life, however you want to call it?
It's very true. And I think part of the reason why some people are unable to do that is because they really believe that their busyness is moving them forward or preventing them from moving forward, and they tell themselves a story. So one thing I'd like our audience to think about, whether you're watching live or on the replay or listening on a podcast platform later, is if you look at your life today and you look at your life a year ago or 5 years ago, what have you actually accomplished in your life that's moved your life forward? And what do I mean by that? Taking key learnings. Maybe you've been going through a lot of hardships. What have you learned from that, and how have you incorporated that? How have you helped other people who are maybe going through something else, maybe by being a role model or an inspiration? Or are you literally the same place you used to be, just playing defense? I mean, it's imagine any sport, okay? We're big here on football, which I think is soccer, and also ice hockey, for example. And some of the players are defensive players. They're always on the defense. And you need an offensive team, right? They're the one who are out there scoring. And they're the ones that you need, but you need the protection from the defense. But if you're only defense, you're never moving down the field. And so, 2 years from now, 5 years from now, you'll probably be in the same situation because of the story that you tell yourself. And I'd like to talk a little bit more about this story, Roland. So, I'd like to start with this. Sometimes the story starts when we're a child and someone tells us something. You're not good enough. Don't do this. Don't, whatever it might be. And then you incorporate that in your life as an adult. And then maybe you find yourself with a partner who tells you the same thing. You're not good enough. And so until you break free from that and really believe you have value, you will be telling yourself a story that most likely will keep you from moving forward. Thoughts?
Dr. Jacalyn, 100%, 100%, 100%. So a lot of people have dreams, they set goals and everything, they make an action plan, but as you said, their own story is holding them back, 100%. This sometimes conscious, it's conscious, sometimes it's unconsciousness, because they're unaware about it. Most people are unaware about it, they're telling their stories. But I guess Tony Robbins, one of my mentors, said it many, many years ago when I met him on one of his trainings. He said, the most successful business can handle their emotion. And it doesn't mean by suppress their emotion, they can handle their emotions. And sometimes we have negative emotions, because we feel guilty, we feel ashamed, because somebody told us we're not good enough, we never can do this or become this in your life, and we feel ashamed or even guilty. And we have to get rid of this. But it's not easy, to be honest. And I'm still struggling a little bit with this. And I'm using a tool, not the digital one. It's a huge book. For every year I have this book, and every week I write down Monday to Sunday what I'm doing. That's one thing. But the most important thing about organizing my calendar, my appointments, my to-do list and stuff like that is I always write down what is my vision for this year. Every week I repeat it, so I don't forget my, how to say, my star, my polar star, or my whatever, my lighthouse or whatever. Yeah, so this is my guiding star. And then I write down why is this week important, where's my focus, and then I write down my belief system, and still I write down I can do it, I'm allowed to do it, I deserve it. I write it down every week, and I'm almost 62, so I'm still, because I know I have to focus on that. I can do it, I'm allowed to do it, I deserve it. And then every single day I write down why is this day important, which job or which to do, or which point or which topic I don't like to do on my to-do list, so I'd always put it first in the morning. So I'm very organized, to be honest, to keep me on track, meaning not only being busy, so not coming closer to my target. And I want to add something. What I learned in life, and I also teach my training delegates and my coaching clients, is all the thing. I focus on two things during the day. It's IPA and it's PPA. IPA is income producing activities. Is this activity what I'm doing producing income? Yes or no? Or I'm just busy? Or sometimes I do PPA, meaning product producing activity, meaning I design a new book I can sell, or I design a new workshop or new product. So I always focus on these two things, IPA and PPA. The rest is just business without any direction. What do you think?
I love that. I've never heard that before, and I think I'll start using it myself if you don't mind. So, one thing I want to tap into, we had a show earlier today with Ian Palm Turner, and then I also spoke with a colleague afterwards about emotions and about listening. And you mentioned about emotions, and I talk a lot about that, about setting boundaries. I think one place that is a trap is when we are unable to move forward because we are so highly emotional. And especially when we're feeling those negative, those lower vibrations, that negative energy, that we literally are almost like quicksand. We're just stuck and we keep going lower and lower and lower. But when we turn it around and we say, okay, yes, I chose this, I went this direction, and this is the outcome. What is it I can learn from this? Instead of, oh, it's her fault, it's his fault, it's the world's fault, it's the president's fault. There's always somebody that people are blaming, but they're not looking in the mirror and saying, what was my role? What is my role? What can I do? Because when we feel powerless to make a difference, that's when I feel like there's no movement forward. But we can turn the situation around and look at what can I do. And what some people will do, Roland, is they turn to hatred, they turn to violence, they turn to propagating negativity and false information as a way of, in their minds, doing something. What are your thoughts about this?
100%. When we all have emotions, of course. We have the good ones and the bad ones. Yeah, we all. The question is, how do we handle them? And again, it's not about suppressing them. It's good. How do we handle them? How do we react on it? And as you said, a lot of people are in a so-called, I call it a negative content loop. Yeah, they have a negative thought. This negative thought brings a negative emotion. This negative emotion brings them in a negative acting. The negative acting confirms that the negative thought is okay. They even get worse. The thought, the emotions get thought, the reaction, the action is thought, the results get worse, and then they're in this negative content loop. And most people are stuck in this. And what you said is some people get aggressive or hatred. So I always see three patterns when somebody is stuck, when stuck in their emotion, meaning they have, for example, a biased or how do we call it? A bias, I don't know. So when they don't see the facts, they're emotionally driven, and there are always two reactions. They get aggressive, they get passive, or they're escaping. So they have aggression, passive, being passive, or escaping. So when somebody gets aggressive in a situation, they're in the negative content loop. When somebody's just passive, not attending anymore, not listening anymore, just stuck down, negative content loop. When somebody tries to escape from a situation, same thing. And most people are really trapped into it, and they don't know how to get out of it, getting out of this trap. And so people are hanging around in this negative content loop, and it gets worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. And then they cannot handle it anymore. Then maybe they take in drugs, alcohol. Then whatever this addiction comes from this, eating, drinking, or whatever it is. And then they hang there. And then they feel like, I'm the poorest person in the world. I'm the only one, the poorest one in the world. As I said, everyone's else's fault. Yeah, but they don't understand they're in this negative loop, and then they don't have no idea how to get out of it. Most people are really hanging in there.
Very true. And I want to tap into something that you just said. Passive aggressive behavior, flippant comments, when people make little, it's almost like, let me needle you a little bit, let me get under your skin a little bit. To me, that is a sign of a person who has emotions they haven't processed, which are typically anger, fear, insecurity, and yet they may come across, oh, I was just kidding. And of course, they're not kidding. They meant what they said. But the truth is, it really is not about the person they're speaking to. It's really about them. Everything always comes back to us. So for anyone out there who might be told that's passive aggressive behavior, or why are you constantly insulting me? Why are you always saying negative things about me? And I've had conversations with people about this through the course of my life. And basically, because I want you to get with it. If I tell you negative things about you, I want you to change it. Well, that is not motivation, my friends. That is not motivation whatsoever to make a change. It's almost like we see these commercials on television. And again, I'm not big on television, but if I watch a movie, I might see commercials and about these weight loss drugs. And you see people who, A-list celebrities or athletes that used to look one way and now they look the other way. And then the ending message was, and I forget Charles Barkley, what is, oh, don't be a dummy. So if you're a Charles Barkley fan and you look up to him in the basketball arena and when he used to play and basically you're a dummy because you're not doing something about your weight loss. Well, that's a passive aggressive statement. I was really surprised when I heard that. So by being negative and condescending, all you're doing is showing people who you are.
100%. I see a lot of passive aggression in the world, and I think the reason for that is we are trained not to be emotional. And when we are angry or sad or pissed off, no, slow down. You don't show it in public. We're not allowed to for a counter strike when somebody really hits us. It's like we're not allowed to do this. So I see it. I don't know with women, but I see that a lot of men who are not fighters anymore, are not really mans anymore. They became really passive aggressive, as you said. Sticking like this, being negative or very critical, or what a lot of women told me that their boyfriend or man refused to communicate. They stop communicating. They stop listening. This is also passive aggression. Yeah, when you go in avoidance, yeah, not having a conversation with your business partner or with your private partner, this is also passive aggression. Yeah, you don't give the other person a chance to communicate with you, and you don't give the other person the chance to express themselves and be heard and be seen. Huh? And I see this a lot. This passive aggression, and what you said about the other person, there's a kind of joke outside. Two friends, they meet and they make up they meet the week Friday at one friend's house at 5 p.m. So the guy coming at 5 p.m. ringing, friend is not opening, knocking, not opening, knocking, knock, 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 getting more and more aggressive, hitting on the door. The guy doesn't open, is not at home. So he put out a piece of paper and write down idiot and nailed it on the door. A week later, they met again and they said to him, "Hey, I was at your house, but you haven't been home." I said, "Yes, I saw your business card."
That's really good. Yeah, people don't forget. It's all about, Philip Sykes used to say this with the British School of Excellence, people remember how you made them feel. And so when you're leading with negativity, especially if you are someone who has done your shadow work, or you have worked on yourself personally and professionally, personal and professional development, you see these things. It's obvious. You know what's going on. And so we don't buy into it. We're not going to go down that path. Because the other thing that I have seen a lot throughout my life, you see a couple and they're in the public domain somewhere, and one person, usually the woman, you always do this. This is exactly why I can't stand being with you. Oh, you're an idiot. All you do is spend my money. Like negative comments back and forth, back and forth. It's like, where do you think this is going? Because you obviously have expressed that you're upset, but you haven't expressed it in a way that either one of you can do anything about it. Because all you've done is insult each other. And it just reminds me of the fire, and the flames keep getting higher and higher. And someone's going to get burned. Someone might get killed. Someone might walk away, whatever the case may be. So, what we're talking about today is whether you're busy, successful, or fulfilled and moving your life forward. And these are some of the things that may be preventing you.
100%, because you're moving in a circle. You're not moving in a direction. You're moving in a circle. You're circling around your problems. You're circling around your bad habits, whatever it is. Yeah, you're circling around. And as you said, when you look back, or maybe you look in a year ahead, are you still there and circling, or did you move forward? Whatever direction it is, move forward. And most people are circling, and then they're complaining, "Oh, another year is gone. Oh, time is rushing so fast. Oh, I didn't do that. Don't do that." Because they're circling around. They're circling around their emotions. And I think what you mentioned, with partners, men and women, is because most people never learned how to communicate properly, how to listen to communicate. So your partner, some behaving you don't like, some behaving you don't say something because you don't want to hurt the other person. Maybe you're afraid from a serious relationship that, okay, when I say something, he or she will leave me, or he or she won't love me anymore. Because some people think negative feedback means I don't love you. No, negative feedback means, hey, I want to help you to improve. So a lot of people are really scared to express their emotions, meaning expressing which value um, has been violated because somebody is behaving or saying like so this, so they have this emotion, and they never learn to express it in a proper way without accusing the other person, just saying, hey, this is what I feel. Yeah. And they never learned it. So they never say something, and then it's this, this balloon inside, it becomes bigger and bigger and bigger, and then you're walking with your girlfriend on the street, you do window shopping, go to a restaurant, and then she explodes or he explodes because all this stuff was suppressed for days, weeks, or even months, and it comes out. And the other person has also has a lot of stuff inside and exploding too. And then they have this reaction, and it's very difficult for them when they're not really awakened or really working on themselves. It's really difficult to get out of this, and then they're stuck. Because what I learned is when you with a partner in private life or in business, and there's a problem, it's never it's you both and the problem. It's never you on this side and you on this side, the problem is in between. This is a fight, and then it's not working. So go together and sort the problem out. And
I
that's what
agree with
most
that.
people understand.
Because I think that in many cases there's a dependency there. So in other words, you're in a relationship that is dysfunctional. It doesn't feel good. So you look at the other person and say, oh, it's your fault because you're not home, you don't do this, you don't do that. But in the meantime, the other person is putting up with it and has been putting up with it. So once you express your feelings and say, listen, it would mean a lot to me if you came home more often, or if you contacted me, I'm just giving examples, and the person says they're going to do it and then they don't, and then 5 years go by and you're still in the same place, maybe it's time to have intervention with a therapist or a counselor, or maybe it's time to say, you know what, my life is going by quickly and I'm not going to do this anymore. And then you decide to move forward, because that is progression. If you are staying in dysfunctional relationships and thinking, as my mother would say, that someone's coming with a magic wand to save you, no one is coming. So that's a really important step, that we have to be accountable. If we're not happy, if we don't feel like we're at peace, we are the only ones who can control that outcome. Now, you might say, well, what if a person is ill? What if a person has serious health issues? Well, what you can control is how you view it, how you see it, and what you're going to do about it. Will you become an advocate, or will you find some way to move yourself forward, even though, let's say, doctors are saying you're never going to XYZ again? We've heard stories like this over the years. So, Roland, for people who are watching and they're wondering, am I stuck? How will people know?
Because they're not moving forward, they're not reaching the goals if they set some goals. I think it's that they realize it when they get pissed off of being pissed off. They're complaining every year about the same stuff. Sorry for this term, but it's how to explain it. When they're pissed off of being pissed off all the time. I think
Yeah.
that's the next level. That's the next level where you should, at the latest, make a U-turn.
Yeah, and I want to tap into that, because we can be frustrated about things, but at some point, at least in my experience, we say to ourselves, okay, I have had enough, right? I am finished with this situation, whatever it is. And this might be a reason why somebody leaves their corporate job. This might be why someone moves to an island. We do know that wherever it is you go, your problems follow you there, right? This might be why there are so many divorces. I don't know why there's not peace in the world at the moment. However, I do think that many times we know we're not happy, but we still stay in the same place. And what we do is we go on the aggressive side. Well, if you don't do this, this, and this, then I'm going to do this. And then you never do it. You say you're going to do it, but you don't actually do it. So the person knows, I know this person's tune. I know how to play them like a violin, and neither party is happy.
Yeah, 100%. Jacqueline, one of the strongest trigger points a person can have, we have different trigger points, things that triggers us, but one of the, it's out from science, one of the strongest trigger points is change. People fear change. And sometimes, the pain is, they learn how to handle the pain, or they learn how to handle this shitty situation. They're more scared about the new thing because they don't know how it's going to work. So they stay in the old one because they know how to behave, how to react, how to hide, how to escape, how to avoid. Yeah. And that's a lot of people. And I mean, as long as the pain is not too much, they stay in the situation because people fear change. It triggers them. Yeah. And most people stay in a toxic relationship, in a bad job or wherever, because they're so scared about what's coming. And when you have a lot of negative emotion, negative experience in the past, you don't believe that you deserve something better. So they said, okay, I always get a shit situation, so this shit I already know. And I have a story, many, many years ago, I was working with a lady, she was good job, good looking, successful, and she was married, and she always had this large sunglasses because her eyes were over blue and swollen because her husband hit her. And she came to coaching session, and after a while I said to her, what the hell are you doing? You're good looking, you make your own money, yeah, you don't need, you're not depending financially on your husband, you're successful in your business, why are you leaving? And he knows, you know what? When he hits, already know how to protect myself and hide. So she was more scared about going out of this relationship and going into a different relationship because her pattern was, I always get hit by my husband, or by my father, or by my brother, or whatever. And now I already know how to defend myself because I know if he's coming with the left or with the right hand. And and it's an extreme situation, but most people react like this person. They are so scared about change, and they try to deal with the current situation, no matter how fucked off it is.
Yeah, because the devil you know is better than the one you don't know. Somebody I know used to tell me that.
Yeah.
And I can say for myself that with my ulcerative colitis, I had told myself a story up until the pandemic, which was I already know there's no cure for this. And I already know it's controlling my life. And I'm going to let it. And so everything that I would do would be based on where is the bathroom? How long will it take me to get there? What kind of bathroom is it? Like, I have so much information about bathrooms. Is it a high ceiling? Do they play music? Like, that people don't even want to talk about. And at some point, someone said to me, do you realize that that disease is running your life? And I was afraid for whatever the outcomes might be. So I didn't even go for a colonoscopy for a long time because I didn't want to find out. Because once you know something, you can't unknow it. So today, thank goodness, I'm in remission and I totally changed my lifestyle, my diet, etc. And went for 3 colonoscopies in the last year. And I feel much better because I'm empowered. But we do hide from knowing information because we'll have to make a change. And so it goes back to the same thing, the devil that you know. You're in a relationship, you know it doesn't work, but you can call your friends and just complain. You can talk about the person behind their back. You can scream and yell at them when they're it doesn't work. But yet you'd rather do that than find out, by the way, what is it like to be on your own? You and I know all about that.
100%. Like Jay, now I've been knowing each other for 5 years around. We did hundreds and hundreds of shows. You know what? I never ever heard you complaining. Never ever about what you're going through. I never heard you complaining. You always showed up. You always have been there, and you're really a very, I think, an amazing role model for a lot of people out there who are struggling with their personal issues and their personal challenges. But I never heard you complaining. You're such a strong lady. It's amazing. My deep respect.
Thank you. I was saying about my eyes before the show began, but that's just a fact. But Roland, it's the same thing for you. And I think that's why we have this dynamic and this chemistry that we get along so well is, you did what you said. You jumped onto a paddleboard and then you kept going. You didn't sit there and go, whoa, who's going to help me? What am I going to do? You did what you had to do. You turned it around. And even today, it's still not perfect, right? And you're still where you were in terms of, you don't have the motorhome, you might not be able to drive, et cetera, et cetera. You might not be able to walk, but you find positives about it. And you have been open to change. When I met you, you were in Mallorca. You had this huge estate. You were running yoga retreats, and you have continued to evolve. And to me, I think that's interesting. I think it's sexy. I think that's the kind of person that I want to have in my life, because it's not the same old status quo, which, oh, nothing's working, arguing, excess of some kind of behavior to try to hide, protect whatever it is that isn't working.
100%. A friend of mine, unfortunately passed away 12 years ago. He always said, Roland, I can't stand it anymore. You're always positive. And I said to him, Bernie, to be honest, if negativity and complaining would work, I would do this one. But from my life experience, it doesn't work. It doesn't bring me forward. So I chose to be positive. But if negativity would work, I would go for it. But it's not working. So I
It
think
doesn't work.
it's a question of choice. Do what's working. And most people stuck to things that don't work and are complaining that they're stuck. I don't understand it. When you go to a drawer and you said push, and you draw, no, it's a push. What the fuck are you doing? They're trying so hard. It says push, not pull.
Yeah, it's
I
true.
don't understand it.
I don't understand it either, but I do think that it is an ingrained mindset that you've got to tap into. And so some people will say, well, I'm not going to therapy. I'm not suggesting that you have to go to therapy. I'm just saying sitting with yourself and sort of unpacking what's going on. So you're in a relationship, it doesn't feel good. You're not happy, you're not fulfilled. You're playing a role, they're playing a role. So look at what are these areas of unhappiness? And do you have the ability yourself to make some positive inroads there? And then look at, well, what about this is bothering you? What's coming up for you? And then when you think about that, when did you feel this way before? You can just keep going, keep going, keep going. What is it, 7 whys, I think? And come to a conclusion that you have information, that you didn't have to spend years in therapy. And I'm not saying anything about therapy. I've gone to therapy over the years myself. I'm just saying you do have the power to start to look at your own life. And instead of blaming someone else, what is your role in the situation and what can you do? Can you evoke some kind of change? Or are you willing to just stay where you are and feel like your life is unfulfilled? That's on you. Or are you willing to take a step out and say, you know what, I'm looking at this for the different set of eyes, and I think I'm going to make a plan to leave. Exit stage left, or let the person know we've got to take further action, get some coaching, get some therapy, whatever the case may be. But I can tell you one thing that it is not. It is not going away for a vacation, because you take all this stuff with you. People will say, oh, we spent $10,000 on a vacation and we argued the whole time. What a surprise. Of course you argued the whole time because you took all your problems with you.
100%, 100%. And the other thing is, a lot of people are addicted to negative emotions because there is a reward in. And when we are child and we are sick, you get more attention from mommy, you get an extra sweet or extra muffin or whatever. So we learn, okay, when I'm feeling bad, I get more attention, I get more love, of course, than my sisters or brothers or someone else. That's what's in our brain. And the other thing is that, as I said, a lot of people are addicted to negative emotions and negative stuff, because that's how they feel safe, because they know the emotions. And some people are absolutely scared about having positive emotion, having joy. No, you cannot be joyful in this world. And I think we have to learn this. And I remember about that I've been sexually abused many years. And as when I found it out, I suppressed it, but when I found it out, there was only one question I was asking myself, and I learned this many years ago in a Tony Robbins seminar. when he was talking to a young lady who was raped, and the only question is said, are you ready to let it go? Are you ready to let it go? Because most people hang on this negative emotion. And she said, yes. I said, when? Now. And this was I said to myself, Roland, okay, this happened. Are you ready to let it go? Do you want to let it go? I said, yes. I don't want it in my life anymore. I let it go. And it was done from there. I never had issues with this. But most people hang with it. They hang with it and feel like a victim, and they're so poor, and they're so blah, 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 blah. And there's always one question: are you willing to let it go? This negative thing, yes or no? And most people hang it because there is a hidden reward they're expecting.
Yeah, I really appreciate that perspective. That makes a lot of sense. I think also, just to summarize that part, is we have many people who come here and share their stories about horrible things that have happened to them, but they're healed. So they can talk about it without actually going back there. When someone hasn't let go of it, hasn't forgiven themselves or whomever else, they are brought back to the exact situation, which can have a lot of negative impact on the person as well because they're not actually ready to talk about it. So I think that's something for all of us to ask. Will you forgive yourself? Will you let go of whatever it is you're holding on in regards to the situation? So, Roland, I really enjoyed exploring this topic with you. Busy, successful, or fulfilled? How do you know if you're actually moving forward? And what I heard you say and through our conversation is that if you are afraid of change, if you feel frustrated, angry, we didn't even talk about this, but let's say you can't sleep. It keeps coming up for you night after night. You're going to sleep and you're thinking about it. You're waking up. That's a sign that something is amiss. And so, what I suggest is look in the mirror. Look in the mirror into your own eyes. How fulfilled and happy are you? And realize no one is coming to help you. What is it you can let go of that you might be holding on so tightly? It might be memories. It might be a relationship. It might be someone who passed away a long time ago and you still hate them for whatever it is that happened. But it's only punishing you. Roland, over to you for the final word of our show today.
What I want to give to our audience is, according to this topic, is learn to trust. Because if you're in this negative content, you're not trusting. The question is, are you trusting yourself? Are you trusting the universe? Learn to trust. My experience is the universe only gives you challenges that you can handle. Maybe they sound a little bit tough in the first sight, but at the end you can handle everything. So trust the universe, trust the process, sort the problem out as fast as you can do. And if you feel overwhelmed, ask for help. That's my advice to you.
Thank you, Roland. And we do have your LinkedIn, we have your email, we have your website. Tell people about the shows that you also are hosting here.
Yeah, thank you. Well, different shows. We do the It's Your Healthy Lifestyle show. So Dr. Jacalyn and myself, we do it on Tuesday on noon East Standard Time. We do It's Your Healthy Lifestyle. So when you're interested in being in shape, being fit, we only share our own experience, yeah, nothing in theory. So that's how we live and how we stay in shape. That's It's Your Healthy Lifestyle. Also on Tuesday afterwards, I do two German shows. One is the Macher Talk, in English the Doer show. It's about doing things, and then afterward, it's the Mutmacher Talk. Sounds a little bit similar for those who don't understand German, but it means it's a talk show about encouraging people, because a lot of people have feeling a hard time nowadays. So we encourage people, and I bring a lot of stuff in. I also have interview partners who tell their stories, how they sorted out their problems, how they overcome obstacles and challenges in their life. And on Monday, 10 a.m. East Standard Time, I do a fantastic show. I'm looking very forward to that. It's Lessons of History. I studied history in university. It was one of my first studies, and I learned if you. One of my mentors said, he was a very famous politics in Austria. He said, uh, if you want to, what did he say in English? If you want to understand 1 minute of the day, you have to learn 2,000 to 3,000 years of history, because everything is repeating. So lessons of history on Monday with Elsini together and an amazing guest from Albania. We talk about the Yugoslavian war.
Absolutely looking forward to that. And by the way, for our viewers who might not know this, last week's episode, Lessons in History, was #1 on our YouTube Silver Creator Award-winning channel, USA Global TV and Radio, with Sabri Agimi. And this week, Roland will be replacing me for the second installment of this. And our show, It's Your Healthy Lifestyle, was #1 on the Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck channel, as well as #2 was this show. So thank you for watching. We really do appreciate you. If you haven't done so yet, please do subscribe to our channels, USA Global TV and Radio and Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck. And if you happen to be watching on Roland Friedl's YouTube channel, please subscribe to his channel as well. We're here to serve and bring you world-class education. Thank you so much, Roland. Great seeing you. And we will close out with a word from our dear friend, Mr. Red O'Loughlin, about his new book, Aging Sucks.
What if many of the problems we associate with aging are not random? What if there are identifiable causes behind declining energy, chronic disease, and memory problems? We have been told that aging is simply something we must accept, that slowing down is normal, that growing older means growing weaker. But what if that's only part of the story? Why do some people remain active and engaged well into their later years? Why do others struggle with disease, fatigue, and declining health? What is happening beneath the surface? What processes drive aging? In Aging Sucks, researcher, educator, and author Red O'Loughlin explores what researchers have discovered about why we grow older. No medical degree required, no confusing jargon, just clear explanations of what researchers have discovered about the processes that influence aging. You cannot stop aging, but understanding its causes may help you make better decisions about your health, your future, and your quality of life. Because understanding comes before action. Action creates hope. Aging sucks. End the guesswork. There is hope.
USA Global TV and Radio proudly presents Tracy Cram Perkins, a dementia caregiving survivor teaching how to balance care with peace of mind. #1 resource for dementia caregivers. It's the book Dementia Home Care: How to Prepare Before, During, and After. Over 17,000 copies sold of this must-have guide. And now a testimonial from Tracy Smith.
If I was to describe this book to someone who is going through a similar situation, I would underscore how important it is to have some sort of a tool or a guidebook to help you through certain stages. And there's so many, it's such an unknown topic to the average person. And to have this as a reference is essential. It's going to help you get through it personally, as well as help your loved one manage.
To learn more, go to tracycramperkins.com. Tracy Cram Perkins is an award-winning author. She's also the host of Dementia Home Care television show. Watch it here on USA Global TV and Radio.
How much of your value have you been giving away? Saying yes when the answer should have been no? Lowering your price to secure the opportunity? Giving more while receiving less? Over time, it adds up. Until one moment brings clarity, you've been giving away your value. This is not about working harder. This is not about doing more. It's about boundaries. It's about pricing. It's about respect. From Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck comes a direct and necessary message. Stop over-delivering. Stop underpricing your expertise. Stop negotiating against yourself. Because when you recognize your value, everything changes. Stop giving away your value. Boundaries, pricing, and the business of respect. Available now wherever fine books are sold and on Amazon. A film by USA Global TV and Radio. Executive producer Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck. Videographer and cinematic production Paul Garcia. Voiceover by Ed Wargas. Stop giving it away. Start owning it.
USA Global TV and Radio proudly presents Tracy Cram Perkins, a dementia caregiving survivor teaching how to balance care with peace of mind. #1 resource for dementia caregivers. It's the book Dementia Home Care: How to Prepare Before, During, and After. Over 17,000 copies sold of this must-have guide. And now a testimonial from Tracy Smith.
If I was to describe this book to someone who is going through a similar situation, I would underscore how important it is to have some sort of a tool or a guidebook to help you through certain stages. And there's so many, it's such an unknown topic to the average person. And to have this as a reference is essential. It's going to help you get through it personally, as well as help your loved one manage.
To learn more, go to tracycramperkins.com. Tracy Cram Perkins is an award-winning author. She's also the host of Dementia Home Care television show. Watch it here on USA Global TV and Radio.
Thank you, viewers and listeners of USA Global TV and Radio, for joining us today. We're honoured to have your time and attention as part of our global community. At USA Global TV and Radio, we believe in the power of authentic conversations, meaningful connections, and creating a world of possibilities together. Want to be part of something bigger? Join our team of elevated listeners at usaglobaltv.com, a space where your voice matters and your ability to listen transforms relationships. Stay connected with us across all our platforms for thought-provoking discussions, expert insights, and empowering stories. Subscribe to our channels at youtube.com/c/USA Global TV. Follow us on social media and explore the endless opportunities we're creating for growth, learning, and inspiration. Together, we're not just broadcasting, we're building bridges and changing lives one conversation at a time. For inquiries, contact us at info@usaglobaltv.com. Produced by Executive Producer and Director Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck. Voiceover by Mike Porter. Creative direction by Paul Garcia. All rights reserved. Visit usaglobaltv.com to view our full terms and conditions.